We are back once again at Townspeople Nation Studios. I'm Nate the Truth.
And I'm your host, Paris Porter. And this is Proper Talk. Yeah. Welcome back to Proper Talk. Thanks again for tuning in again with us, because we need you. Subscribe. We want to make some money. You know, we hungry out here.
Always.
Please check us out, man. We calling in them other YouTube
Yeah.
episodes. You got cats on here making up stories, man. They
Yup.
man, they don't know these dudes.
I'm driving a go-kart, B.
I ain't got no car. Uber.
That's real.
Welcome back to Proper Talk. Thanks again for tuning in with us for our 4th edition. Please subscribe, leave your comments. Let us know what you think of today's show. Nate, let them know what the hot topics are for today.
Serena did it again. 22nd title, Grand Slam. Now she ties up with Steffi Graf. And with that said, what do you make of her performance?
Serena had a pretty good performance today.
Mm.
Pretty good is an understatement. I believe Angelique Kerber brought the best out of her.
Okay.
Her serve was absolutely spectacular. Serena's serve. She was a hard-fought battle. Serena got it done.
Okay.
She tied the record for number 22nd Grand Slam.
That's right.
I think eventually you're going to see her win at number 23 within this next year. So Serena, she's on the right course.
Okay. Now, with that said, you know her age is creeping up now. She's 34 right now, entering 35. And with that said, do you see a decline coming soon?
Well, ultimately with age is injury, you know. So it's tough
That's
to get
true.
around that. She's had a long run. We got to remember, she's won. Today was her 9th Grand Slam she's won after the age of 33.
Okay.
She'll be 35 soon.
Okay.
So she's been on an absolute tear as of late. Ultimately, you have to see her come down that hill.
Right. But this will put her right now as one of the top athletes in the entire world, correct? When you agree?
Absolutely.
I mean, her championships can fill up an entire home. Remember, she got, and basketball fans out there, if you compare Kobe and Michael Jordan, she pretty much smashed all these titles. I mean, she destroys them. But what we're trying to make out and say is this, man. For all athletes, you know, we got to look at both, just like we alluded to in our previous episode with diversity and then also women in sports. We got to take a look at this woman because she is killing.
Absolutely.
I mean, at age 34, really? You know
And
what I'm
we
saying?
got to remember, although she's had 3 shots to win this 22nd Grand Slam.
That's true.
She had 3 shots, so she's playing deep into these tournaments.
Right.
Ultimately, the pressure, it seems like it's mounting. You know, she said she don't really think about going for the record, or, you know, before she tied the record today, she didn't really think about it. But she's human. You know, we all think about these things, and you know, everyone's giving her her best shot when they go out there. So you know, we have to see.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe ultimately, within the next year, she's going to get number 23.
Okay, and congrats, Serena Williams. You are phenomenal. You're spectacular. Now going into the WNBA. Now what we have is 4 teams that's leading in their conference. So what we have is the New York Liberty at 14-10. We have the Mystics at 10-9. We have the LA Sparks at 17-1. We have the Lynx at 15-4. Now with that said, do you think that probably, and that's what I'm calling the Dynasty Lynx, do you feel as though they can make another incredible run and, you know, win another championship out of this?
It's going to be incredibly tough, I believe.
Okay, all right.
So incredible run as possible will be
Okay.
incredibly tough.
Okay.
To win year in and year out is really hard.
Right. So
you
you
know?
think the Sparks, is their time again? You think they'll come back?
I believe the Sparks
Do something for LA?
They're definitely hungry. They're definitely hungry.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
you can never count Minnesota out. They got
No doubt.
veterans, chemistry. They've played together for quite some years, and we see they have championship pedigree. So we know the Lynx are going to be there.
Okay.
But the Eastern Conference may have something to say with the Liberty. They performed well last year.
Okay.
Coming into this year, we see Tina Charles playing at a very high level. I believe the Liberty will have a say-so.
True indeed.
Ultimately, the champion will be out of the West.
Okay.
It's too early to make a prediction. Although signs are pointing to LA at this point.
Okay.
Minnesota had a crazy start, 12-0.
Right.
They actually beat the Sparks.
Yes.
And the game out in LA.
Mm-hmm. That
And
Wednesday game we alluded to and spoke about.
Yeah, but then, you know, that Friday, the Sparks beat Minnesota in Minnesota. So
Right.
we have to see how it all shapes out here.
Okay, all right. So keeping on the basketball tip, the recent signings and also the recent extension. So, of course, Dwayne Wade decided to come back to his hometown, Chicago. Right now, we're looking at the Bulls lineup. We're looking at a Rondo, Wade, Butler, maybe Mirotic, maybe Taj Gibson throwing with Brooks. What do you make of that core?
It's a great core.
Yeah.
You're talking about players who are accomplished. Rajon Rondo, we know he's a great basketball player.
Yeah, dime dropper, no doubt.
Distributes the ball.
Yeah.
Plays with a lot of heart, tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to absolutely ball and hustle and go after it. We know what Dwayne Wade has accomplished. You don't even have to run down his resume. Right. Wade is proven. Jimmy Butler, on the other hand, great player.
Yes.
It sounds like he has some chemistry issues, whether it's with Derrick Rose or was it with Fred Hoiberg. So we have to see how this group mesh together. We will be remiss if we didn't talk about the 3-point shooting of the Chicago Bulls. With this lineup, we know Wade isn't the best 3-point shooter for his career.
Right.
Either is Rajon Rondo. Right. Jimmy Butler's a decent 3-point shooter. His jump shot has improved.
And they got Mirotic coming out there at number 4.
Yeah, you need a little bit more shooting than that in today's league.
Yeah.
Ultimately, defensively, they can be a really stout group.
Okay.
We know Rajon Rondo has first lead all defensive potential.
Oh, yeah.
Dwayne Wade's a very good defensive player at the 2-guard position. We know Jimmy Butler can be a lockdown player at the 3.
Yep.
So I think defensively they're going to have to hang their hat on that. There's some questions being raised if Fred Hoiberg got tricked because this is in his system. We know he wants to do the space and pace.
Right.
He wants to take threes. And this team, the roster doesn't seem conducive to that style of play.
Correct.
So we have to see how this all plays out. Typically coaches get fired in these situations. I'm not wishing harm on anyone or bad on anyone to come, but it seems like a situation that can be undesirable for Fred Hoiberg because you got guys with really demonstrative personalities. When you talk about Rajon Rondo, you talk about Dwayne Wade, we talk about Jimmy Butler. Will these guys be able to put their egos aside, play collectively and win, and also give a little bit into the coach's system? Those are key factors we're gonna have to pay attention to.
Okay, so their probably fight will be with the alpha, meaning that whose team is going to be. Are they going to be clash between the coach and the players?
Well,
because like you said, those 3. And I'm not saying Wade is, and Wade has proven that he can share the wealth. I mean, when LeBron was over there, and then with Bosh, over there in the Heat.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can understand that, but Rondo and then Butler.
Well, one encouraging fact is Rondo did come out this week and say that it is Butler's team.
Okay.
Butler's the younger one.
Okay.
So I don't want to try to tarnish it before it starts.
Right.
But ultimately, under pressure, when things get tight, people always revert back to their habits.
Okay.
So we're going to have to see how that works out.
Okay. Now, with the extension, James Harden went ahead and signed back with the Rockets. So what do you make of that franchise? Like, what do you think they're trying to do over there?
Well, it seemed like a questionable move from Harden's standpoint.
Yes.
We know the cap is going up. We know he stood to make more money if he signed at a later date, depending on if the players and the owners opt into the CBA, because they have an option that has to be decided by this December coming up, December 2016. So they have to decide if they're going to opt into the current deal that the players and the owners have together. But with that being said, I think it was a good move for the Houston Rockets. Now you shore up your star player. Now it's an easier pitch when you go into free agency. Players don't like uncertainty. You want to go after a Westbrook. You want to go after one of these top-notch guys. They don't want to sign there and the star player is going to leave a year later.
Exactly.
So I think it was a good move for the Houston Rockets. We'll see what happens with the Houston Rockets. They lost to Dwight Howard. They hired Mike D'Antoni.
Okay.
We know they want to play that style of basketball. I'm not certain who the point guard is, who's going to really bring that vision into perspective. But we'll see how it works out.
Okay. And now, with that said, so we're looking at money. And then also we're looking at longevity. So that brings us to our topic, which we'll bring in once we return, is this, the golden ring. So the question is, and what we're putting out there is it worth it sacrificing for the ring, or is it just beneficial to just get your just due and get what you're valued at? We're going to discuss that when we come back in 60.
I'm wandering free, just living in a dream. Every day that goes by, it's the same old thing. I'm wandering free, just living in a dream. Every day that goes by, it's the same old thing.
welcome back to Proper Talk. And it's time to get into the meat of the discussion.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting ready to discuss this golden ring theory.
Yes.
Now, when I say the golden ring theory, it's the theory that the ring is the end all be all.
That's correct.
You got players who in their career have not won championships, but it has accomplished a great amount.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Karl Malone, number 2 all-time scoring leader in the NBA history.
Yes.
No championships.
Right. And of course, Stockton, him throwing all those dimes and being an assist leader in the league and no ring.
No ring. And then you got Kevin Love, who had an absolutely fantastic statistical career in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Sacrificed his shots, sacrificed his role.
That's right.
To go win a championship.
That's correct.
And then you got some players who also sacrifice money, like
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Wade. What is the right way? What is the wrong way?
Okay. So Dwayne Wade was one of the Miami greats.
Yeah.
Flat out. And I understand what he was talking about in terms of him not being taken care of. But, Pete, this is why I had an issue with this. And I'm not saying Dwayne Wade is not worth it. He is. I believe that he should have taken care of that value right in his prime. I mean, the man is not in the best health. He's declining. His age is getting up. Father Time is coming knocking at his door. And this is what I'm saying, Pete. If money was always the issue, you invited LeBron over. You got Bosh over there. So what I'm saying is it more the organization's fault that he didn't get paid, or he set up and trapped his own self and devalued himself?
Well, I don't believe that's the case. I do believe that Wade, in the prime of his career, he sacrificed. And to bring it all into perspective, Wade turned down a 2-year, $40 million contract, which would have paid him $20 per season with Miami to sign for $47 million in Chicago.
Right.
And it was like I showed you kind of move. When he left Miami, some people say he felt disrespected by the organization. He continuously took pay cuts to help their cause of winning, and that passed right into the golden ring theory. Should you take a pay cut to win the championship in the prime of your career, or should you take care of yourself and maybe on the tail end of your career go get a championship? Now, to answer your question, I do believe that it's a difference to what Wade sacrificed, and he should have been taken care of. Reason why is because without Wade, there is no 3 championships in Miami. There's probably no LeBron James. There's probably no Chris Bosh. Wade wasn't asking for an astronomical figure.
Okay.
He was asking for what I believe was fair. It's reported that Wade has left $25 million on the table throughout the course of his career to play with the Miami Heat and to continue to win championships and to help build an organization that's conducive to winning championships. So I do believe he should have been taken care of. However, I do understand the organization's perspective. Wade has come out and said, hey, it's my Pat Riley's job to be my best friend. It's his job to conduct business.
Right.
It is a business. So ultimately, what you're saying has a lot of level of truth in it to where you take care of yourself on that top end.
Yes. And
you worry about the rest later.
Yeah. And again, if you want to win titles, sometimes there's sacrifice. Now, sacrifice doesn't always involve in you just preparing for the season and then being healthy throughout the season. Also, too, sacrifice meaning that maybe you have to sacrifice some pay. Hate to say it that way, but, it looks like that's how it goes. Now, speaking of pay and making moves, I want to get into KD. And everybody's criticizing his move, saying, why would you join up where your nemesis, right?
Right.
And this is how I'm looking at it. So I recall Charles Barkley saying this.
Yeah.
In the prime of his career, he would have never have done it.
Right.
But this is kind of what I want to point out to Barkley. If he would have known today, right, and took that knowledge back then, would he still be talking that same tune? I mean, I get what he's saying, that when I was young, I wanted to compete. But when he was declining, he started to realize, man, I do not have a title. Then he joined up with the Houston Rockets, with Kenny Smith, right? Kenny the Jet Smith. He teamed up with Olajuwon, right? That's a killer squad, right?
Scottie Pippen.
I mean, you could consider that, and he was pretty upset because they didn't put forth the effort that he thought they should so he can win a title. But I think it's quite easy to dismiss Durant on this, saying that, hey, you're in your prime. You should want to compete. So here's the thing. If you get the money, and Barkley, it seems as though he made his value, right, throughout the NBA. Do we agree with that? He made a substantial amount of money with the NBA, but he had a void that he still wants to, fill is that championship. The thing is, he has his counterparts that here around. They got that ring. I mean, they all got money, but he's missing what? A championship. So Can Barkley, or is it fair for Barkley to criticize, or even Stephen A. Smith to go after Durant the way they are? Because at the end of the day, not only you want the money, but you also want the title. So with that said, Pete, how do you feel about Kevin Durant and his decision?
Well, I said it last week on the show.
Oh yeah, you did.
I believe that it was a weak move to go join up with the Golden State Warriors. It was an easy route to a championship.
Okay.
And I stand by it.
Okay.
Although I do recognize it is a new day and age
Mm-hmm.
where players are teaming up, and it makes sense. It's not like he left cash on the table.
Right.
So
right.
I'm not saying that Durant is a horrible individual for the decision that he made.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do believe it's an easier route. Now, some people say, why would you take a harder route if it's easier? If it's a championship, you know you can win, and you're about winning, why not make that move if you're going to sacrifice for ego?
Exactly.
So, but when we say it's weak, it's saying you're weakening one team, you're
Okay.
going to another team,
Okay.
and you're teaming up with the best players.
Okay.
So I do think it's a distinction between what you're saying as far as Charles Barkley. One thing you got to
Okay.
keep in mind, when he did team up with the Houston Rockets,
Mm-hmm.
he was at the tail end of his career. He wasn't in the prime of his career.
I understand.
Like Kevin Durant, Steph Curry,
Right.
Klay Thompson. These guys are all in their mid to late 20s in the prime of their basketball careers.
Right.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
people reference the Lakers with Karl Malone and Gary Payton. Again, all these guys were at the tail end of their career trying to get a championship, not in the prime of their career. Barkley also said that, hey, if you don't win a championship, your life does suck. Basically what he's saying. He's saying, I'd rather be the man on a championship team versus being a Robert Horry who made big shots but was never the man. He's saying, I had the better career. So I'm not sure he's really disgruntled about not winning a championship. He talks about it.
He does talk about it. He was pretty pissed.
I'll ask you, would you rather have Charles Barkley career or Robert Horry's? That's always been a key question. And before you answer, just let me add this. Although, you see these guys teaming up, and there's nothing wrong with that with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James. We talked about Wade previously, how he left money on the table.
Right.
And to bring LeBron and those guys in that instance, I don't think that's a smart decision. But however, those guys won multiple championships and they ended up getting their money in the back of their career, whether it's about money or championships.
Okay.
But let's keep in mind, it's just a different mentality. You see, Jordan, he wanted to beat the best. You see Magic, those guys wanted to beat the best.
Yes.
And today, these guys want to team up. So it's just a different mentality on how to win. It's more information available to the players now. Guys are making smarter decisions. You can't really knock the guys now. But if you talk about a preference as far as superstars and how a league should be ran, I'd rather see the best players compete against each other versus on the same team.
No doubt. So,
and lastly, it doesn't guarantee anything that Kevin Durant has went to Golden State. It's not like that guarantees championships. Remember Miami Heat, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. They end up with 2. They went to 4 finals, but you can't buy chemistry. So we got to see how it's going to work out on the floor. They lost an incredibly lot of players, man. They lost Barbosa. They lost Maurice Space. I know these guys sound like insignificant pieces, but chemistry that accounts for a lot.
You need that.
Yeah, they lost a lot of players. They lost Andrew Bogut, rim protector Harrison Barnes. So they lost some players.
Right.
Now they got Kevin Durant, so people can say forget about Barnes. I get that. But you lost a lot of players. You lost a lot of flexibility. Year in and year out, they're going to be dependent on guys to play for less, veterans.
So that's kind
like a David West to come in and
Right.
play for $2 million. They're going to be dependent on that year in and year out. It's going to be moving pieces. I don't think that chemistry is ever going to be at its peak like we seen when those guys won 73 games last year.
And so to answer your question about whether I rather have a Robert Horry career or a Charles Barkley career, so it's kind of saying this: not everybody's a superstar, right? Some people are complementary players. Doesn't take away from your value.
Does not.
So even though Robert Horry didn't have the substantial career as Charles Barkley, but he was known as Mr. Clutch, so his name was out there. So I mean, to be honest with you, if I was at Robert Horry's level of playing style, I would be ecstatic.
So you're saying you'd rather have Horry's career than Barkley's, and there's no knock.
Well, it's not saying that I would take Horry's career over, but I don't want to devalue Horry either. Like,
well, I'm not devaluing Horry,
right.
But when I posed the question, it's more so you said not everyone is a superstar, but not everyone's gonna win a championship.
Okay.
That's just the reality of the fact.
Correct.
So would you rather be the man where you can? And it sounds very egotistical.
It is.
But would you rather really be the reason for winning versus teaming up with guys and winning. But it seems like a cheat move to me. It seems like a cheat code. It seems like an NBA 2K trade. Okay. And so, you take off, teams having the ability to reject trades. That's what it seems like to me.
So if you're that type of player that always want to compete, then you have to go out competing. Same like Kobe Bryant did. I mean, he always made, what I want to say, he always said he may leave LA. He was upset with management. But it never really happened. What I'm trying to say is this. If you're that competitive, why would you want to leave, period? If you feel as though you're the man throughout your career, I'm feeling as though this.
That's the same thing I'm saying.
When you
why did Durant leave?
But when you're coming out of your prime, now your options gets less. And when your options gets less, you get desperate, right? Now, do I believe that Kevin Durant got desperate? This is how I look at it. We look at Klay Thompson and we're looking at Steph Curry, right? And we're looking at those, and Steph Curry being the superstar and Klay Thompson being the star player, right? But think about the core elements that made the Warriors who they were. Just because KD came over there, and you said it, on paper it sounds like a championship, but we don't know how the chemistry is. Again, if you take Steph Curry out of his element, right, and put Steph Curry over there with the Rockets, do you think they're going to start winning championships?
No, I think Curry is more of a product. And it's not the question. I'm not posing the question of is it automatically championships.
Right.
Again, with just all the stars getting together and aligning, eventually, if these guys can stay healthy, they're probably going to win a championship. Right. All they're saying is it's an easier route versus the route they took. Now, I can look at it from both sides of the argument.
Okay.
From Durant's perspective, again, if it's an easier route, why would I take a harder one if I have this option right here in front of me? And from the guys from the old school.
Right.
Where the stars, because when you talk about superstars gaining up, that really hurts the NBA as a whole. If you think about it, it helps the interest for the for the TV ratings when you're talking about the marquee games.
Okay.
But in the smaller markets, when you're taking those stars out of it, and all the stars are lining on one team, that hurts the team's value. Now you're hurting the team's tickets. So it's more of an organizational thing. It's a player thing. Are you pro-player, pro-organization? There are many questions to pose here. Ultimately, I believe that Durant should have. And I'm not sure if he had issues with Westbrook. He had issues with management. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I just believe in the old school way of what Barkley and how Jordan and how those guys got their championships. Now, Jordan had talent. Again, Magic had talent. Bird had it. All these guys said they would have never joined up. But you had Hall of Famers on your team already.
Yeah,
so you didn't have to join up.
Yeah, right. They built players around them.
It depends on how you look at the art. I'm more of the old school and how they got their championship.
But then we have to look at the old school owners, because you build around your star player, right? You make sure that they have pieces around them so you can build a dynasty. But if you notice how we left out of the so-called golden era of the sport and into this new wave, that there is no more dynasty. There's no more building a team for a championship. Everybody's microwave. Nobody wants to bake. Everybody wants it fast food and they want to order it right now. And that's what I'm seeing in this type of league. So to say this, let's say Kevin Durant didn't go to the Warriors. Let's say he went to the Wizards. Would that look more heroic?
He went home.
Okay.
He playing with John Wall, Bradley Beal, two, potential all-star players.
But that's what I'm saying. All right, Bradley Beal.
But what I'm saying is he's going to go and be the best player on that team. To where, is he the best player on the Warriors? We already know Steph Curry, back-to-back MVP. And this is going to be interesting to see how it play out, because everyone says the right things and they're going to sacrifice and get it. We're going to see when the pressure's on, how they going to respond. Are they going to revert back to shooting, 40-foot threes?
Right.
Is Durant going to get mad? Durant, it's been so many reports out there. You don't know what's true, what's false. We got to see how it work out.
Okay.
And just to, in the golden ring theory, we can look at players like David West, who left a lot of money on the table last year when he left Indiana, and it didn't work out.
It didn't make sense.
He didn't work out. He went to San Antonio. He didn't win the championship. Now he's with the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
So he's chasing that ring. We see players at the tail end of their careers chase that ring. There's reports that Ray Allen may come out of retirement
at age 40
and go play with the Warriors. So, the golden ring is real. Right. Is it about the money? Is it about the ring? Is it about both?
But Ray got a title. Like what do you want?
He might want more to add.
Because think about it. Okay, so let's look at it this. So KD, right? Let's look at the other KG. KG did how many years over with the Minnesota Wolves?
12 seasons.
So he gave his best to them, right? He was at the tail end of his career. He pretty much turned around and looked at the city like, look, I love y'all, but I'm competitive, and I want to win. So he went to Boston, and Boston built a team, and very luckily, Rondo was a part of that, which, launched his career. But this is what I'm getting at. So how long has Kevin Durant been with? First, he started his career, of course, it was the Supersonics. Then they went to Oklahoma. So how long?
9 seasons.
9 seasons. Okay. So if let's say that he did 2 or 3 more seasons and it still didn't work out. Let's say that he did make a move where he went to like whomever. Let's say the Warriors won the team. Then he just went with the better squad. Will we still be talking this way?
I believe so. Just because you had him dead to right 3-1.
Okay.
You're up on them. It's like you went to join the guys that you couldn't beat. It's like
I
you
see what you're saying.
Join them.
I see. So you're saying that it's just too soon to be wanting to join up a squad that just beat you.
That's just
right.
me. I believe if you go at those guys, beat them. He even left a comment back in 2010 when LeBron after to go to Miami. And he left a post on, I think it was Twitter, and he said everybody want to play for the Lakers, everybody want to play for the Heat. What happened to going at these people? And now
he's a hypocrite.
No, he not. I guess things are subject to change in life. So, but the golden ring is one thing we can say though. The golden ring is real. These players, man, they want to win that ring.
Okay, so maybe his decision is based upon again options, right?
Yeah.
Because he himself was injured, right? And maybe he's looking ahead. Probably quicker than Charles Barkley looked ahead in his career. Maybe he's looking at saying, you know what? I'm going to look at history. I'm going to look at my health. And I'm going to look at the facts.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he did. That's what's calculated.
It's like LeBron. LeBron left Cleveland because he wanted to ensure he won championships for his career. Because it was 27, 28, he hadn't won a championship.
That's right.
Injuries come when you get in your mid to late 30s. Mm-hmm. He wanted to make sure he got that ring. He went to go get 2. He came back. Right. So, hey, guys want to win that ring. Again, the golden ring theory is real. These players want to win it.
Right.
They want to make money. It's a business. All these guys about the money. It's the business. It's about both. It's a elusive question.
Right.
It depends from player to player. But when we come back, we're going to finish and conclude with our final thoughts. Politics as usual. Be back in 60. Proper Talk, and in this segment of the show, it's politics as usual. Mm-hmm. Nate, I want to end the show by dissecting some interesting quotes from Carmelo Anthony, and I want to get your reaction. It was somewhat of a call of action to empower change. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
Quote, Martin Luther King marched, Malcolm X rebelled, Muhammad Ali literally fought for U.S. Our anger should be towards the system. If the system doesn't change, we will continue to turn on the TV and see the same things happening. We must put the pressure on the people in charge in order to get this thing we call justice right.
Right.
Nate, what are your thoughts on those quotes?
Well, what Carmelo Anthony is pretty much saying is this. There's an issue, right? And he can't turn a blind eye. What he's doing is calling his other brothers in the NBA saying that we can't turn a blind eye either. And what he realizes that right now, there's no mystery. Blacks make up majority of the players, that's star players in the NBA, correct? And what he's pretty much saying this. Guys, we sacrificed a lot to get here. It's time to sacrifice again. Now, many probably ask the question, what am I sacrificing or why should I, correct? This is not a race issue, this is a human rights issue. And what he alluded to, and like you said, Pete, what you read from his comments, is that it's almost like he has this alley right now in memory of thought saying this. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than a sport. look, the people put us here. They put us on the pedestal. If it's not for the community, if it's not for the fans, we wouldn't even be stars now. So let's give back to them. Maybe we're not as much as danger as they are because we high-profile players, but the community that put us here, they are. You know, maybe we should be concerned about that. And with that said, Pete, what did the fans think? What do you guys feel?
Oh, yeah.
What about Carmelo's stand of action? Do you feel as though that he's correct? Do you think it's the player's responsibility to do so?
Because I think ultimately, just to conclude on what you're saying, it comes down to whether the players themselves want to be involved in this process.
Right.
It's somewhat of a call of action, but
right.
Are they do they owe that responsibility to their communities?
Right.
Do they have to do this? Do they want to be involved?
That's correct.
What do the fans think?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks again for tuning in for Proper Talk. Please leave your comments. Let us know what you think about today's episode. Also, follow these links here for the social media platform. Reach out to us. Let us know what you guys think about the show again. We'll be back with you soon. See you again. Keep it thorough.
Peace.